Right, so I have, just to make sure, Holly, Ted, Jim, Evan, John, and Jay. Are there any other members on that I did not call? No. Okay, great. So with that, we will begin the meeting and I guess to try to stick with the agenda, and I hadn't really thought this through. It appears that the first item on the agenda is the election of officers. Having not myself done anything about this, Shannon or Sandy, could you just tell us who the current officers are?
You are chair and Jim is secretary. And I believe,
I think Jay is vice chair, no?
Yes.
Yeah.
Jay is, Joe Larry is vice chair.
Yep.
Yeah, Sandy just.
Is Jay on the meeting?
Yes, I am.
Yes.
I'm here.
So with that, are there any nominations for to be the officers for the next year?
I'd like to nominate Evan Honeyman as chairman of the Historic District Commission.
We'll need a second.
I'll second it.
I'd like to nominate Jay Bombara for chairman.
I'll second
Uh, being as, I guess, well, let's focus on just this one.
Yeah.
I want to do what's right here. So, Shannon, I don't know how used you are to these kind of meetings, but should we appoint somebody else to be
So normally
chair
I
for the
can,
purpose?
yep, I've got it. Jay's typically is the staff liaison, can take it. So we've got, Evan is a nomination. We've got, Jay Bombara as a nomination, with a motion, a nomination and a second for both. And is there any other nominations for chair? Okay.
Sorry, just point of order. Is there discussion or how does it work?
For election?
I would think.
Not normally there's election, not normally for a election, but we can if you'd like. I can tell you that the voting, it's the 5 regular members are the voting members for this matter. So we've got
I think I'm an alternate for sure.
yeah, Liz is.
Oh, that was-
Oh,
Sorry, Emily. I apologize for being tardy. It's been one of those days.
Liz, John, and Ted are alternates. So we had Ted made the motion, so he can't make the motion, right? Because that I did pull up. So the bylaws, and I went through and I highlighted them. So the bylaws are up on the screen. It says voting, 5 regular commissioners, including chair, vice chair, and secretary, are empowered to vote on all matters brought before the commission and in the election of officers serving the commission. No more than 5 votes can be cast on any one ballot to decide an issue. So.
Well, I mean,
So
I think I would ask, I mean, I would want to say, I would ask, I guess you're chair, so I'm going to ask the chair. I would have Evan state whether or not he's interested in serving in this position, and I would do the same.
I can, but at the moment I need to, because Ted made the motion for Jay Bombara to be chair, I actually need one of the regular members. So that's the issue. So because the alternates can't participate in the election, given the fact that we've got everyone here on hand. So I've got to cancel that motion at the moment. So right now I have Evan being nominated by Jay O'Leary, seconded by Holly Bolden. So I'm going to open it up again and ask, are there any other nominations for chair?
I mean, I guess I'll nominate myself just to see what's going on here. I'm kind of interested.
Okay, that's
I
fine.
think we lost Jim Calciano.
Oh,
That's not helpful.
Don't see him.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not seeing him either. All right, I am gonna take liberties with a couple of things here. Let me go back up. So this just simply says the election of chairman shall be held at the last meeting of the calendar year. So unless there's an objection, I'm going to suggest at this point in time, because the current chair would still hold through this meeting. Because the term of the old chairman shall expire on the first day of the new year. Since we lost Mr. Calciano, and that seems to be back and forth, I'd like to put forth that we table this item to the bottom of the agenda, and we will tend to the business of the public hearings, and we will move the election of officers to the bottom of the agenda.
Can a non-officer make that motion or approve it?
And well, right now we've got quorum, so I need,
Jim's not here. We could
I'm
get
back.
renominated.
Oh, he's back. He's
Bad,
back.
bad internet. Sorry.
okay. I think we still, if everyone's in agreement, then my suggestion is that we move this matter to the bottom of the agenda.
It's okay with me.
That's fine with me.
Jay, Evan,
Yeah, okay, no problem.
Problem.
okay.
Okay.
So we're gonna go ahead and do that. So it's not being dismissed. It will just take place at the end. And let's go ahead and open the public hearings.
Jim Calciano, do you have the list, or do you want me to read the?
Oh, I do have the list.
You want to go ahead and read the first notice?
Sign Pro application for temporary certificate of appropriateness to replace sign at 3 Mountain Road.
Okay, and I believe.
Okay, there is somebody here, I know, sorry, but I don't see your name. Would the applicant like to present what they're applying for, and anything else you think the commission should know before discussing and coming to a decision?
Certainly, thank you. I'm Tracy Becker from Sign Pro. I'm here representing St. James Episcopal Church at 3 Mountain Road in Farmington. They currently have a sign that they don't think gets very much view from traffic on the street. I realize that it's intentionally understated because it is in a residential neighborhood. So at this point, and I'm not sure if you have the additional sign that we sent last week, Sandra. So this first option that we're proposing is a V-shaped, two-sided sign that could be viewed, so it will be placed perpendicular to the road, so that traffic in both directions can see the sign. It's, pretty basic and understated, so you can see the top view there. So the center portion post would be closest to the street. And it's basically a carved wood or high density urethane, actually foam, painted and carved. Again, it is intentionally understated to fit in with that residential area.
That's your second option, correct?
So our second option, right, is a typical, one panel, two-sided. This would also be placed perpendicular to the street. And we're offering both options to the commission because quite honestly, the church hasn't made a decision. I think possibly that this single panel will probably be the direction that they go in, only because it will be the more affordable option. But we're presenting both to you, hoping that you will approve both and leave it up to the church to decide. So I'm not sure if you have any questions.
Yeah, we will. So I'm just going to call the order I wrote down people's names and ask if you have any questions. First, Holly.
Height.
It-
The height of it, how high, it's almost 6 feet?
It's 6 feet to the top of that peak.
And the present sign is how tall?
I am sure I can answer that if you just give me 1 second to look. I know we've been out there. I believe the existing sign is 60 inches tall, so 5 feet
Mhm.
to the top of the peak that's there.
And the reason you extended it another foot is just for more visibility?
Yes.
And will there be plantings? Not that that's our purview at all, I'm just curious.
I believe there will be. I mean, currently the existing sign sits on 2 stone footings with like a blue stone cap on top of the footings. So I'm sure there'll be, I mean, there's a shrub there now that will probably either, I'm not sure if it's a type of shrub or a flower that we could split perhaps, because we would be turning the sign 90 degrees.
Mm.
So there will be some sort of planting. I think part of the problem is the existing sign with the landscaping that's there. The Reverend's name is kind of lost in the plantings. I have some photos. If you want me to share my screen, I can show you what I have.
Be helpful just to compare it.
Sure.
Is that all right, Jay?
Oh, it's fine with me. I'd asked Shannon of what they need as far as putting it in the record, but other than that, it's fine with me.
Yeah, okay. Tracy, I'm
I
gonna
mean,
make you a co-host so that you can
so I can share my screen there.
share your
Okay,
screen.
thank you. So that's taken, obviously walking right up to it. Let's see. So I guess those are flowers, not really a shrub.
You've got to close out your directory. We can see that it's covering over your screen that shows the picture.
Oh, sorry. Is that better?
Now you've got a map. You've got to close out.
I have all sorts of stuff going on here today.
Oh, now
How's
you
that?
now we've got a picture of your tape measure. If that's what you want.
Oh,
That's
are we
good.
getting closer?
Yeah, we can see it. Leave that. That's fine.
Okay, I don't know how many, because I
No.
have 2 screens, but I have, my laptop screen and then my desktop. So I think we're
No.
good.
Now we're seeing the agenda.
Need to close the agenda.
Oh, you are seeing that? So maybe I just need to move this back here. Is that better? Can you see the photo now?
We see the road. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, that's it. You can see the sign. Or the tents or the awnings.
Yes.
The only other question is, This is perpendicular presently to the road. And I understand how that is not visible to cars unless they're actually looking at it.
No, it's
Right.
parallel.
It's parallel to the road right now.
If it was perpendicular, wouldn't that be more visible?
Yes, so in the first option where we were presenting the V shape, so the V shape would be perpendicular to the road, with the center of the V closest to the road. And then the second option of just the one panel front and back sign would also be perpendicular to the road.
Thank you.
Yeah, so the real option we're being presented, well, assuming we're fine with the materials and the height and the design, is whether to have this sort of V sign, in other words, two signs that make a V, or just one that's perpendicular to the road.
Right. So, well, half of these are sideways. Sorry about that. Right, so this is the height. That's the 60-inch dimension that I was seeing. It's just taking a while.
Oh my God.
So I think you can start to see here, this is, well, if it loads, there we go. So the flowers kind of obscure the lowest portion of the sign there. And I think that's what they're, trying to alleviate. And then I think that brings us back to the beginning.
All right, so maybe Shannon, you can take back control. Holly, did you have anything else you wanted to ask? Or?
No, thank you.
Okay.
That's fine.
Ted?
I got cut out there for a minute, so sorry if I duplicate questions. The PVC posts, are those extruded PVC? Or are those, like the PVC boards?
It's extruded PVC. It's a
Okay.
solid, or a hollow one-piece design that would have a cap at the top.
Okay. And did I see on the drawing that it's painted?
Yes, it's painted the dark red. And then we're calling it
Okay.
PMS 188C, but it's the dark red, similar to what's currently there.
Are
Okay.
they currently wood posts?
So it's,
I'm sorry.
That I do not know. Let me see. I know we have, let me see if I can answer that for you. They're, 8 by 8 inch cedar posts right now.
Yeah, Ted, I cut you off. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just think that the extruded PVC posts are, they look like extruded PVC posts and they don't look like wood. I think PVC boards that are trimmed to, fit around a 4x4 look a lot more authentic once they're painted. I think that's a better option than those sleek. I'm also more in favor of the single sign than the V-shaped sign. I think that's more consistent with everything else that's in the village. And looks more like a 1800s, 1700s kind of sign than a V-shape does.
Okay.
So those are my comments.
Thank you. Jim Calciano?
Yes, those were my concerns that Ted brought up. I believe the sign, Shannon, is at the height zoning allows, that's 6 feet, isn't it?
Correct.
Okay, so I'm okay with that. And I do believe a single sign, double-sided, perpendicular to the road is appropriate. The V shape is a little much. It kind of expands. I think that is definitely my preference.
Okay. Evan, do you have anything?
I took a walk by the property and I just had a question. I know we've already mentioned the stonework and the shrubbery, but I'm just curious about the electrical, if you know at all. There is electrical out there with a light, and wasn't sure if you had discussed with the church about running additional electrical.
I would imagine that the existing electrical would just be split to allow a light on either side of the sign.
Okay, thank you. No additional questions.
Okay. John?
Yeah, I am definitely kind of in agreement that the single versus the V is more appropriate.
Okay. Jay?
Yeah, I'm in agreement also with that, the single side. And I'm wondering, well, no, never mind. I'm answering my own question. Yes, okay, single side.
Okay. The only thing I'll ask, and you said it and I went over my head. What is the sign itself made out of?
So it's a high density urethane. It's a specific sign product. It mimics wood, but it handles the weather and elements much better than a wood product. So once it's painted, it looks like a carved wood sign. But I don't know if you saw the existing sign photos, there's some weather damage to the paint and the corners of the existing sign, but the high density urethane, handles the New England weather much better than wood.
And the lettering on this sign, is it going to be recessed or?
I believe it does say that if you go down one page, if you could do that. Yeah, there you go. So the V grooved letters,
Yeah.
which means they're cut into a V shape on the sign, and then those would be painted gold, and then the reverend's name, and then space for a future name if there ever gets to be an assistant pastor at that church. Those are acrylic panels with white vinyl on it.
Jay, I have an additional question I just thought of.
Yeah, please.
By the way, Jay, that sign is very similar. That PVC board carved is just like the Farmington storage on Route 6 that was just put up. And I think Sign Pro did that one. I'm not sure if they did, but I'm familiar with the material. My only question is if we go with the single, then I would imagine it has to be a lot thicker than what you're showing on the V, because you're going to need some depth in order to do carving on both sides. So do you know how thick that sign will be?
I do not. I don't know if it's called out there. I want to say it's a 3-inch thick HDU on
Right.
that single sign.
Each panel. So we're looking at 6-7 inches probably, which makes sense. It has to be.
So this is actually saying a 2-inch thick, so it's maybe perhaps 2-inch thick on each side.
Yep. Okay. Yep. Just a rough idea. Okay.
Okay. I don't have anything else. Is there anybody on the call? I don't think there is, but that would like to ask a question or make a comment on this application? I don't see any participants. Shannon, is there anybody that could possibly?
I'm looking through and I am not seeing any residents.
Okay.
So I think we're cleared.
Okay, then I would ask for a motion, obviously being specific about whether it's the V-shaped or one-sided. And then anything else, if you're concerned about the posts, being something other than what's proposed, you could also add that. So anybody willing to make a motion or?
I'll make a motion that we approve, we give a temporary certificate of appropriateness for a single-sided, double-lettered carved PVC sign with the dimensions shown, about 6 feet high and 2 cedar posts.
Do I have a second to that motion?
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Further discussion?
Can I just say that the motion includes a PVC sign and it's not actually PVC, it's the high density urethane or HDU foam. And that,
So,
and the cedar posts the existing sign has cedar posts. And we are specifying a PVC post, but we could change that to the PVC panels over the 4-inch pressure treated wood post and perhaps curve the edge to match the existing sign.
Ted, is that what you were talking about?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, then that would be it.
So Jim, you're agreeable to amending your motion to allow for the type of sign as on the application and the post as just described, which I couldn't repeat if I tried?
Yes. What
Okay.
Ted said.
Okay, what Ted said.
Yeah, it's 4x4 pressure treated posts wrapped with PVC trim boards.
Okay, got it.
And so to do this correctly, I can't recall who did the second, but whoever did the second, do you agree to those changes to the motion?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Okay. Any further discussion on the motion as amended? All in favor, I guess signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, we do have the five full members here, so those will be the ones reflected as voting. I appreciate everybody's input on that. So you're all set. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
You too. Okay, Mr. Secretary, could you read the second matter for public hearing?
Yes. Is Enoch Boldavi application for temporary certificate of appropriateness to replace 6 windows at 113 Main Street.
Is someone here for the applicant? Hello?
Window, the applicant, homeowner trying to get the provider of the windows fixed on time.
You'll have to,
Yeah,
Shannon, you'll have to repeat what Sandy said.
yeah, the homeowner is trying to get Eric to, so is
Eric's the property
owner, so he's trying to get a representative of the windows.
Yeah.
Okay, why don't we quickly, unless I hear an objection, we'll put that to the side. We'll move to the other matters. Actually, formalistically, why don't we just approve the minutes first? Approval of minutes of the December 1, 2020 meeting. If you recall, that was the special meeting that we just had. I did see what was circulated. I had no objections. Are there any corrections or typos? If not, can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second? I heard Jim, I think, second. Any further discussion on those minutes? All in favor of approval? Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. Then I guess we may as well keep going here. Do you want to do the staff report now, Shannon?
Certainly, I'm happy to. So the staff report has to do with the study report for the expansion to the district. We have, I believe it's 5 homes to be added. 3 are individual properties. 2 will actually be an expansion to the existing district. We received our letter of approval from the state Historic Preservation Office. It's already been to TPZ as well. And so we're now ready to hold the hearing with the Historic District Commission, which is really exciting. So if everyone thinks we're ready, we can do it in January. We could also postpone and take a little bit of time to get ready and do it in February. I've done it recently in 2018 with the Unionville Historic District, working with Lisa Johnson in the Unionville Historic District to prep for the public hearing for their expansion for their January meeting. So they will have their expansion public hearing, I believe it's January 7th, whatever the first Thursday is. And so we could set up the hearing for your January 19th meeting. What's involved is on our end, on the staff end, we're responsible for the legal notices to the newspaper, which would take place as part of the legal notice for the January meeting anyway. So this would be an additional line item on the legal notice. It'd be included on the agenda, obviously the public hearing. And all of the homeowners would the homeowners that are additions to the district would receive legal notice, and as well as copies of the reports and any of the district's guidelines. So we would make copies of all of those documents and get them sent out to the homeowners. Then from a presentation standpoint for the public hearing, there are some formalities. It's not too cumbersome, but it's helpful, particularly to have some of the commission members participate in the presentation for this. And part of that would be discussions of the homes. And there's already very detailed descriptions that are provided as part of the report. So it would really be just a brief synopsis, and staff could put the presentation together. They're already in PDF files. But having somebody speak to the homes that are being added. I typically handle the discussion regarding the timing and the statutory process that takes place. We share a map regarding, to show the entire district. And we also obviously talk about the requirements of the district. That's part of the public hearing. The purpose of the public hearing is so that these new homeowners, this is an opportunity for them to really solidify whether or not they want to be in the district, and ask questions of the commission and have really a true understanding of what the expectation is of them with putting forth their home to be entered into the district. So, so there is some work, if you will, on our part, and some requirement to make sure that these folks feel educated and their questions are answered. Once we have the public hearing and that closes, it's then for the two homes that are additions to the district, there's a balloting process that takes place, and I work with the town clerk on that. And the town clerk actually issues the ballot, and they have to be returned within 15 days in order to be considered as a valid vote. And then with the homes that are properties that are being added, and they're added because they could not be immediately contiguous to the district. We have a couple of outlying properties. So they're great additions, but they just aren't immediately contiguous to the border, so they can't be part of the district proper. So they're considered historic properties, and they are not balloted, but the individual homeowners at any time after the public hearing can decide to withdraw from having their home added to the district. So again, this is really a vetting process for them so that they fully understand the requirements as well as the benefits that come and the protections that come with having their homes added. So once all that's finished, then the final step is for this to go to town council. So we would have votes in from those that vote. We would have final confirmation from the other members, and then it goes to town council. In town council, I typically am responsible for the report to town council and do a brief summary, again, give them a brief rundown of the 5 homes, show the map, and then there's an update. Obviously, the town ordinance has to be amended in order to include these properties. So they have to vote to accept the document and to amend the town ordinance. So we're still a couple of months out, certainly with the executive orders and under the pandemic, in the lengthening of our permitting timeframes, it's allowed a little bit of flexibility. So if we think we need a little more time and we don't want to tackle this at the January meeting, that's fine. But I would suggest we don't push it beyond the February meeting. So that's where we are with this, and I'm happy to answer any other questions if anyone has any.
So Shannon, you just answered one of my questions. So you're saying, I know how busy the town staff is. Your preference would be to do it in January or February? Or you don't have a preference?
I can do either. It would probably be a little easier for us if we waited to do this one in February, but I could do either.
Okay.
Hopefully we're working on getting a new town planner here in place, so it would be a little easier if we waited. But again, I don't really think it's fair to the homeowners to push it past February. So.
Right. And then when you say voting, you have to remind me, it's funny, obviously as many of the people on this call have been even longer than I have, been in the district for almost 20 years. Is it the homeowners that are going to vote on this in the district? Who's voting?
No, so just the properties that are added. So interestingly enough, even though they have put forth, they've agreed to have their property put in, the process is for any additional homes, they get balloted just for those homes. So it's the 2 homes, the 2 properties that are contiguous that they will receive a ballot, and then they
so they're basically opting in or out on this.
Correct. It's a written, very clearly a written declaration on that.
Right. And I'll add, this is on me. I have been in touch. There is one home, and Shannon can correct me or if she's heard anything else, which has gone a change in ownership since it was purchased. The purchaser initially, I shouldn't say initially, has stated that they're somewhat interested, but thinking about it. Talked to them last time, maybe 2 months ago, letting them know we would need to know or prefer to know for sure. I mean, we can just put them in, and if they want to say no at the very end, they can. But I did try to contact them again. They are new to the area. Unfortunately, I did not hear back before this meeting. So there is a possibility, I believe that's 33 Waterville Road, that we could go through the whole process and they may opt out. But I believe the other homeowners, at least verbally, and again, they could still opt out, have committed to this. And I'll just say, I think we all know, because we are on this commission, we've got a great historic district. And one of the things as a commission, I think we should do, whoever leads this, is to continue to try to protect it and expand it. And we've got some really great houses to expand it to. And hopefully we can't do this every year. It's too much of an effort for the town, but I know Lisa Johnson has put together a list. I helped her with 2 of potential candidates. So do this cycle and then maybe start thinking about the next cycle. But the more we can add to this, the better protection will protect not only the district, but Farmington and its character. But with that, I guess why don't I quickly call people out? I know it's hard to jump in and see if they have anything they want to say or add to this. Jay, do you have anything?
No comments.
John? I don't know if you're still there, if you're on mute.
Nope.
Nope. Okay. Evan?
No comment.
Okay. Jim?
Yeah, clarification. This is, are they going to be in their own ancillary historic district, or is this only so that they could get on the National Register? I'm not quite sure where they stand.
Sure. So I'm going from memory because I don't, and forgive me, but I think we've got Portia Corbett's the main house and the guest house. So there's two properties there. I believe there's already a historic inventory. And so those would be added to this Farmington Historic District because the district has already expanded up Waterville Road. So those properties are contiguous to the district, and so those are expansions to the district.
Okay.
And then there's three other properties. There's 33 Waterville, and it's up far enough that it wasn't contiguous, so that would be isolated. There's one on West District Road over near West District School that wants to be part of Farmington Historic District. And then there's the old schoolhouse at the intersection of Coppermine and Red Oak Hill. And that, I believe, is the Historical Society. So let's put that one forth for addition. So the last three are properties, but they fall under properties of the Farmington Historic District. So it's a Historic District and Properties Commission.
Okay.
Right.
Thank
If it's not in the contiguous district, they're considered historic properties. Same rules apply, et cetera.
Right.
That's how I understand it, simply my own way.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay. Ted, do you have anything you want to add or ask?
No comments.
And Holly?
I'd just like to thank you, Shannon and Jay, for such an insightful overview. I really appreciate that. I have no comments or questions. I just think it's a wonderful, it's an attribute, I think, to the commission to think that people want to join that are not quite in the district. So, but I do have one quick question. And I've been a commissioner for 20 years now. Someone posed a question, actually two people asked, once your house is designated as part of the HDC, can they get off of it? And I was not sure how to respond to that.
Yeah, the answer is no.
you. No,
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I thought once you're on, that's it, right?
Yeah, it's the property that's in the district.
The
Yes.
property.
I believe you can petition to town council because now it's locked in the ordinance, right? So there's a number of layers to this. So I believe one could petition, but it's my understanding is rather onerous.
Thank you. That's all I
Sure.
wanted to hear. Thank you.
Okay.
Holly, don't tell me you're taking your property out. I'm not going to stand for it.
No,
Right.
I am a big advocate. I really am. I think that's part of the charm of this village.
Well, yeah, and we really have to go back. There's other people who have worked hard on this, Lisa and others. I mean, we'll celebrate if we get them in. But there's a lot of people to thank here, and do especially appreciate Shannon shepherding this through. There's a lot
I think part of the commission was actually created right here in the living room I'm sitting in with Mr. Coles when they developed it.
That makes
So-
sense. Yeah, yeah.
Like
Okay. Anything else? So the question was, shall we do this in January or February? I didn't ask anybody to opine. I'm hearing that it's probably preferable. I'm around. I'm willing to do it in January. Is there anybody who wants to say we should push it out? Okay. Not hearing anybody. All right.
For Shannon, and I would say push it out, but
if
Oh,
we're
did you
ready,
say, I'm sorry, you did want it pushed out. Remind me, Shannon, what you
That's
said.
okay. No,
Thank
that's
you, Holly.
okay.
Sorry, I totally punted that one. Say that. What
That's
was your
okay.
preference
No,
was
so
February.
My
I'm sorry.
preference is February
Let's do that. Okay,
if
fine.
that's fine. I wouldn't go past February, but it gives us just a smidge more breathing room here so I can get it'll help too because we'll get the Unionville one finished and then I can use that as the template for setting up
Sure.
our
Yeah.
Farmington one.
And I'm fine with that. I really am just deferring to what I, again, recognizing, I know you're hopefully bringing in a planner that, although I know nothing about that, but deferring to you guys and trying to help you manage your load because I know it's ridiculous.
Yeah, so regardless of whether or not a new planner stays, I will stay with this process for the expansion. So you'll still see me through with the expansion just because they'll have enough to take on. So, and once you do it with one district, it's really, it's not too cumbersome to do it with a second. So I'll stay through with the expansion.
Great.
So you're not going to get rid of me that early.
Okay. Good.
Not anytime soon, anyway.
So any objection to doing this in February then?
None.
Okay, great. So Shannon, you don't need a motion, I assume, but you'll put it on the agenda for February. Okay.
Absolutely. We will note it accordingly. So
Okay, so we've been very patient here. Has anybody joined us? Yes, I see somebody has.
yes, we do. We have another person on the phone for our 113 Main Street. So
Okay, so we will go back to, and we've already opened the public hearing. So this is a public hearing, keep in mind, for 113 Main Street, the replacement of 6 windows. And my understanding is there is somebody here on behalf of the applicant. If you could state your name and address and then present your application to the commission, would be very appreciative. Thank you.
Yes, my name is AJ Shrenzi. I work with Window World. Sorry, I work with a lot of addresses, so since it's not on that form in front of us, I just don't know the exact street address offhand. My apologies. We are looking to replace 6 double hung windows. They are numbered in the pictures provided, and to do white vinyl windows and wrap them in aluminum. I've worked in a lot of historic districts. Actually, we are the largest window remodeler in the entire country, let alone the state. And I work in a lot of historic districts often. We try to make everything look as close to historically accurate as possible, though we are working with materials that are not wood in order for energy efficiency as well as longevity. Our goal here is to make all the windows that you see numbered in red, all 6 windows, to match the rest of the house, which currently we are looking at aluminum windows as is. So it's not going to be a massive change.
I'm sorry, did you say that they're currently aluminum?
You can see them right here that, yes, they're aluminum. Those are storm windows, yes.
Okay. Anything else you want to say? If not, we'll turn to the commissioners.
If there's anything you need me to answer, I guess just ask me. Everyone seems to hold these meetings a little differently, so I'm not sure what other information I could provide, but I'm more than happy to answer questions.
Okay, well, understood and appreciate there is information that was provided as well. So I will now call through again the list of commissioners and you can ask any questions or make any comments. I'll start with Holly.
The only question I have is I'm looking at this black outline. Is that black aluminum or is that just an example?
No, that's their house currently. That's a black wood trim right now. What we're going to do is we're going to cover that in black aluminum. And if you're looking at it, you'll never be able to tell the difference. The reason we do that though, is so that they don't have to deal with rot issues and it keeps water out. The black will blend in with everything else though.
Thank you.
Anything else, Holly? I mean, we can come back to you.
No,
too,
I
didn't want to.
I've never seen black aluminum outlining a window before in a historic district, so that's new to me. So thank you for explaining.
It's actually, yeah, it's just painted wood right now, but since we're trying to make sure that we keep the look to what it is now so that, we're not upsetting anybody, we've agreed to wrap everything in a black aluminum so that it matches.
Could that ever be painted?
It can, if they'd like to paint it, they can certainly paint it. We actually use a very high quality PVC coated aluminum. So it's actually made with the titanium dioxide so that it doesn't fade, peel, chip, scratch, et cetera, and so on. Look dated over time. It's made this exact same way that say those green street signs are made that you see on every street corner. It's made the same way so that it'll last and always look good. But we spend a little bit more money to make sure that the quality of the products will always last.
I guess my only concern is the fact that historically they would have been painted white or another color. And once it's black in aluminum, that would be a challenge to paint. So,
I mean, you guys tell me what you want. I just, the reason we chose black is because there's already black there. I would be more than happy to make it white.
Well, we don't choose the colors, but I see what Holly's saying. She's saying someday they wanted to change
Yeah, they
the
can paint
color
it.
would be hard. But you're saying they could paint it white and it would cover the black?
Yes.
Uh, Ted? Oh, I'm sorry, Holly, and again, everybody. I don't mean to say when I call through the roll, if something comes up afterwards, obviously interrupt me, do whatever you need to do. We'll go back to you, or if somebody says something you want to comment again. But just trying to make sure everybody gets a shot here and we don't miss anybody. So Ted?
So the windows with the black capping, those are on the rear of the building, correct?
I believe, let me see. Yes, they are.
Okay, so those aren't visible from the road. So I'll stick with questions for the front.
Those ones look like they're capped in white.
Right.
And when you say capped in white, you're talking about wrapping the exterior trim in aluminum.
Yes. So if you refer to the bottom picture of the house, that black around the window, I'm going to do the same thing in white on the front 4 windows. And I apologize if I wasn't clear about that on the first part of the conversation. We've been extremely busy, and I usually sign about 2 to 3 contracts a day, and this has been about a month or 2 out. So I can't remember. I'm actually out on an install right now and totally forgot about the meeting. So I apologize for being late, A, and B, not explaining that there's white and black on this because it just dawned on me again.
All right, so back to the windows on the front.
Yep.
I just want to be clear. So what is the exterior trim that you're going to wrap? What is that made out of?
Aluminum.
So there is no exterior trim other than aluminum?
That's all we use is aluminum. Yes.
Okay.
The reason being is we don't actually take their old trim off. We just encapsulate.
Okay, so these are insert windows then.
Yes.
All right, so you're wrapping the existing trim in aluminum.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well,
What is the existing trim now?
I don't think aluminum wrap trim is appropriate for the front of the house in a historic district. And I honestly don't think vinyl replacement windows are either.
I mean, I can't, it's not my place to say. I will tell you that I believe he told me his neighbors just did it without telling anybody. So not trying to push buttons here.
Well, if you want to let us know who that is, we're happy to look into it. But
I have no idea who it is.
If it didn't come before us, then obviously we couldn't have done it. So saying that somebody else did it without a permit is not a satisfactory answer.
I'm just trying to go about this the correct way, sir.
Yep, I appreciate that. And so are we. Evan, do you have any questions?
Yeah, my question is really for the other commissioners. The 4 windows being replaced on the front of the home have no grills. And so my question is, do we typically approve replacement windows that have no grills or grids?
I think we typically see that it's like for like. So whatever the grid is, we would expect the same grid to be replaced. I think one of the things that happens over time, obviously, is many of us may have had the windows replaced 3 or 4 times, and over time, and prior to a historic district, perhaps the sort of original grids are gone. But I think we typically are okay with replacing what's there. But having said that, I think if the style of the home, or we think what's appropriate for the district is a grid or something, we could require that.
Okay, thank you.
Jay, I have a question.
Sure, good timing.
Okay, windows 1, 2, 3, and 4, which are on the front of the house. Okay, that would be in our purview, but the ones in the back of the house, we really don't have any purview on that because they're in the back of the house. Is that correct?
Well, interesting, they've applied. I think you could make the argument that they're not required to get a permit for the back of the house. The fact that they've applied, I would suggest that either we act on it or we remove that as part of the approval, but we can discuss that process when we get there, I guess.
Okay, can I ask another question? The other windows in the front of the house where windows 1, 2, 3, and 4 are, they will then be different because those other windows don't have that aluminum capping. Is that correct?
I'll ask the applicant that.
All the windows will have an aluminum capping. The front is white, the back is black.
No, but the windows now that are there that aren't being affected by this, they don't have aluminum capping.
They have aluminum storms on them.
Storms have nothing to do with it.
I fail to see how a storm is historically accurate.
It's not something we can't, storm windows are different, very different. They're different characters. But I had a question, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Are those 2 over 2? Because I can't tell from the picture.
There are no grids on those at all.
None whatsoever. But in the back, 5 and 6, those are 2 over 2, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah. We have never allowed aluminum over wood.
No.
Wood is wood, wood has to be there. The sashes, we have never allowed aluminum, whether it's clad and whatever, replacement windows, because I assume if you were to put a replacement windows, that it would shrink the opening, correct? A little bit?
It's not going to be a noticeable shrink, no.
But it will shrink
But it
it,
will be slightly different to,
right?
it'd
That's,
be slightly different, but nothing that would be noticeable from the road.
well, I beg to differ. It will be different because what's going to happen is that instead of having a 2-inch reveal, it's going to have a 3 or 4-inch reveal, and it's not going to be the same as the windows below. So I'm not liking this proposal for these windows at all. And again, Jay's probably right that the back is not considered within our purview, but the front definitely is.
Okay, I think John Renihan, I think we haven't heard from you. Do you have anything you'd like to ask or add? Are you on mute? Are you still here?
It's still logged in, but
John, you're on mute. If you want to say anything, I'll give you one more chance. Okay, maybe you had to run. Well, let me open it back up because there were a lot of good points here. Is there anybody that wants to ask anything else on the commission? Any commissioners, questions or comments?
Windows are the eyes of the house. And to me, if you're considering what happens in the front, it should also happen in the back, whether they're visible or not. So I think what's appropriate for the house is that they all match.
I don't disagree with that. What gets hard is what we can force, but again, there has been an application for the 6. Okay, is there anybody, and again, I don't see any participants other than us and the applicant, but is there anybody from the public who was on this call that would like to make a comment on this, ask a question, or speak in favor or against this application?
there's no one on, Jay, other than.
There is one question, Shannon, if I may ask. Some time ago, when Loftus was chair, we had some discussion and research done on what is considered within our purview if it's not visible. And sometimes if it's visible from another house, sometimes that was considered within our purview. So I don't remember exactly what our research ended up doing, but we know in this case the westerly view, the northerly view, and the southerly view are definitely all within our purview for sure. Again, the back I don't know. The way that house is situated, no one's ever going to see the back of that house except the neighbor off of one of the cul-de-sac in the back. But those three sides are definitely something that we need to make sure that the fabric of the house remains the same, that wood is wood. We don't allow aluminum siding. We don't allow trim to be wrapped in aluminum. And we've never allowed replacement windows unless they were wood with a vinyl clad, as in a Lincoln. So those are my comments.
So just to comment on that, Jim, interestingly, I read through the entire historic district portion of the Connecticut general statutes today because why not? I was vamping for something to do. Part was really getting preparation for the expansion reports and checking a couple of things, but it's fairly specific. The purview is for items of architectural significance that are visible from a public way is how they define that. So you're correct in that the front and the two sides of the house, because as you're traveling north or south on Main Street, obviously you see the sides clearly. And we typically have stated that landscaping is not the sole mechanism for screening. So if there is a full hedgerow, that wouldn't necessarily be the sole mechanism for screening. You've got to imagine that somebody's going to change that landscaping at some point and take trees down. And obviously they can work on their landscaping without approval from the commission to do so. So that's freshly read from the Connecticut.
Yeah, I would agree. And Jim, what I recall, the one time recently that I can recall, I shouldn't say recently, the last time I can recall is something by the Memento Mori Cemetery. And I think we were contemplating whether or not, or maybe just me, whether if you could see it from the cemetery, that would be deemed to be a public way.
That's correct. Or even a private road that was served by a few houses. So that's exactly when it came up. So good. Thank you. Good memory.
So I don't know. I assume you can't see it from the cul-de-sac on Old Gate or whatever's behind there.
No, I don't think so.
You could check it. But again, and I don't know, in a second here, I'll ask for a motion, but to my view, I guess, on this is that they've applied for it. So they're asking us whether or not to give us appropriateness. We can say it's not appropriate. Whether they need a permit to do that is a different issue. So they've asked for that. I would suggest we just take the application as they've submitted it and vote up or down on it. The applicant, I guess I'll just, before we go through the motion process, is there anything else you'd like to say or did you get leave?
Yeah, AJ, is there anything else you'd like to share with the commission before they vote?
I don't. It's whatever you guys think is best for the Historical Society at this point. I'm just trying to help a customer who is uncomfortable in his home. So I understand, you guys want wood, but some people unfortunately are unable to afford it. And it's not just a short-term expense. It's an extreme long-term expense because I replace brand new wood windows all the time. But you guys let me know what's best and we'll take it from there. Thank you.
Appreciate that. And I should let the experts on the windows comment, but my recollection is we do allow aluminum, vinyl clad, Jim, or?
Yes.
So we recognize, and I just made this comment at our last meeting, actually, ironically, which was we did ask the applicant to use a different type of window and acknowledge, I think John Renahan was the one that even asked what the difference in cost was. We recognize there's additional cost. We think it's too bad. Most all of us own homes and we don't like to pay the additional cost, but we also recognize the benefit that we derive from being part of this district, and that fact that we're adding value over time, and it is just sort of unfortunately an additional expense that we all bear to make sure that this is the place that everybody loves so much, both visually and the people in it. So with that,
I have one clarification point, not to belabor this. I was looking at the divisions for the 2/2. The applicant is saying that the mullions are in the glass. Are they not true divided lights then?
True divided lights haven't been a thing since the early 1800s, or late 1800s, I should say. It was actually in place because it was a cheaper way for people to actually transport glass. And it was a sign of wealth if you could transport large pieces of glass versus very small little ones. Now they're extremely inefficient as far as keeping homes, let's say, warm or energy efficient in any way. So we do put them between the glass. We also have the option to put them on the exterior of the glass so they appear to be true SDLs, simulated divided lights, but no, that has not been a thing for a very long time.
Well, you can still get them, but we'd have to see exactly what the simulated true divided light is. What's your opinion, Ted?
I think simulated divided light is fine. The authentic divided light you can still get, but they're astronomically expensive, so most people don't. But the simulated looks just fine. I think grills between the glass are not appropriate.
Yeah, I just want to make sure the applicant knew, going forward, what we were looking for. Okay, that's it.
right. So to be clear, right, Jim, it's the simulated divided light that we do approve, though. You can have it on the exterior, not action for actual.
And that all goes to texture. Again, the grills are in the glass. You can see it from the road, and we know it's there.
The only thing I want to add before I ask for the motion, I'm sorry to belabor this, and I will quickly get there, is we do truly, and they're not on the phone, unfortunately. The owners, I think, have done a great job with this house, and it looks great. And I think the things we're asking for are reasonable. I understand there are cheaper ways and maybe even slightly more, I don't know, energy efficient ways, but I think being part of the district, when you buy the home, you recognize that this is going to be a part of the process. So I hope that they understand that we're only looking out for everybody's interest here. Okay, so with that, again, I would suggest somebody just make a motion on approving it, and then the second, and then we can vote up or down on whether or not to approve this. Do I have a motion? Doesn't mean you have to vote for it. Need a motion. Somebody? Jim?
It's hard to make a motion that I'm against.
Right.
It's okay. You can vote against it. It's just that it's to consider the application. Or Evan, I don't know. Are you willing to make the motion that we, again, it has to be put in a positive. So the motion should be that we approve the application as submitted. And then if we get a second, we'll vote on the motion.
May I just add one last thing?
Sure.
Before the motion's made, and I already can tell which direction it's going, and that's fine. I guess I'm a little, how do I say it? I guess the one thing I can appreciate is that you are trying to uphold the sanctity of the historical society and the historicness of this building, though I guess the one thing that you just said is that you're looking out for their best interest in a way because they've purchased a home in this society. But if they're uncomfortable and they're not happy with the way that their house is performing or keeping them or their children or whomever's in the house comfortable, I fail to see how we're having their interests in mind. And if this looks the same as a historic, as it's supposed to from the street, which is what most historical societies are, and I understand you aren't most historical societies, so I already get that out of there. But if this is meant to look, and it does look the way it's supposed to from the street, and it's going to make the homeowner more comfortable, I fail to see why aluminum and vinyl are a problem. I don't mean to elongate this. Can we, unfortunately, I'm in the middle of an install, so I really do need an answer at this point. Thank you.
Yep, thank you. It's historic district, just to clarify. So I agree. Let's get this on with this. Can
I'll
one
make
of
a
the,
motion that we approve the windows, the 1 through 6, as presented by the applicant of, what's the address, 113 Main Street.
okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
I second the motion.
Thank you. Is there further discussion on the motion? Okay, hearing none. Obviously, you know whether you want to vote for it or against. I'm first going to ask if you're in favor of it, and then if you're opposed. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Are there any abstentions? Is there anybody that didn't vote that's a full-time member? Okay, so that's 0 to 5. It does not pass. It's 0 to 5. So the certificate is not granted. Thank you. All
Okay,
right. I don't really have anything else. I guess we have to go back to this election.
we do have to go back to the election. Yep, so we're gonna go back to the election of officers and so just to clarify, I think if for clarity, since it's been a while, we're gonna start fresh. And again, it per the bylaws, it has to, we can include the 5 full members with respect to the nominations and voting for the chair, vice chair, and secretary positions. We will start with chair. And so we're all clear, the 5 full-time members, we have Jay Bombara, Evan Honeyman, Holly Holden, Jim Calciano, and Jay O'Leary. So those are the 5. So I am going to ask for a nomination for chair, please.
I'm going to make the nomination for chair
Okay,
for Evan.
for Evan. Is there a second?
At that.
Holly is second. Okay. All right. Are there any other nominations for chair?
Oh, I nominate Jay Bombara.
Okay. Is there a second for the nomination for Jay Bombara?
Well, again, just to play this out, can I second Jim's motion? Yeah, why not? Let's see what's going on.
Yeah. Okay. And I believe we had chatted, it makes sense if we'll hear from, for discussion, we'll hear from Evan and Jay, and then if anyone else wants to offer a comment, then we'll allow that with respect to the 5 members. So Evan, if you have any comments you'd like to share.
Sure, thank you. I just wanted to thank you for the opportunity, and I am interested in serving as chair, and I want to thank Jay for the nomination and Holly for the second.
Okay.
Yeah, I would just say I'm glad that Evan's interested, and we need more people to be interested. I guess I will say, and I tend to try to be transparent. A little disappointed that I was not asked. In fact, I'd probably be happy to hand him my baton. But you know, people want to think that playing little party games are more important than the best interest of the town. That's fine. I have no doubt Evan will do fine. Evan, it's not a shot at you. I'm just really surprised, probably a little bit hurt, quite frankly. And you know, hopefully we'll find out someday what really went on. I assume it's a Republican. They want to have all control of all the chairs. So if that's what this is about, and that's the way the vote goes, so be it. But at any rate, that's all I got.
Okay. Okay. Does anyone else have any other comments for discussion to share regarding this? Okay, so
Just for just for clarifications and apologies, I had to step away, but I'm guessing that we, as a alternative.
Yes, sorry, John, yes. So I pulled up the bylaws. I had them up at the start. I'm scrolling, forgive me for scrolling through like a maniac. I know it's a little crazy on the screen. But with respect to voting in the bylaws, it's the 5 regular commissioners are empowered to vote on all matters, and in the election of officers serving on the commission, and that there's no more than 5 votes for any issue. And since we have all 5 commission members this evening, then correct, the alternates are not participating in this portion.
Yeah.
Go ahead, John. I'm just
Well,
curious.
I just will make one comment. As an independent that votes for Republicans and Democrats, like, again, I'm hopeful that this historic district commission continues to just have the best interest of Farmington in mind. And, you know, I do think it's important that this team is staffed, and it seems like we are, with people experienced, and so I think that institutional knowledge is critical, and that consistency over time. So I'm just hopeful that we can continue to kind of go down the path that we've been going in terms of us being unified in our strategy to maintain this awesome place that we live.
Okay. Jay, you had a point of order?
Yeah, I haven't looked at the bylaws in a long time. There's no separate article about electing officers in here?
That's one of the things, I read this through twice today.
Just out of curiosity, why were you reading those portions? Were you alerted by somebody that this would be an issue?
No, it's on the agenda item, and it's my responsibility to make sure, and each commission is a little different. So each commission's bylaws work a little different, and it's an agenda item. So I wanted to make sure I understood what the voting parameters were. So
Okay, no, you read through it. That's fine. I'm fine. We want to move the motion or whatever we're doing. It's fine.
Okay. So we will ask for, so we've got 2 nominations, both with a second. So can I ask for all in favor of Evan?
Aye.
We've got Evan.
Aye.
Maybe you want to do a roll call.
Oh, okay, you're right. All in favor of Evan. So we've got Evan, Jay,
Aye.
Holly. Where'd Holly go? Holly,
I'm here. Aye.
thank you. Jim Calciano
No.
and Jay Bombara.
All seeing it's going to pass, I will vote for Evan. Jim, thank you.
Okay, and we'll play it out. Jay Bombara.
You can, I'll waive. I'll withdraw my
Oh,
nomination.
wait. Okay. Okay. So Evan will be the new chair for starting in January. And now we need motion for a vice chair.
I'd like to nominate Jay O'Leary as vice chairwoman.
I'll second that.
Okay. Are there any other nominations for vice chair? One more time, any other nominations for vice chair? Okay, is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor of Jay O'Leary as vice chair signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. And finally, secretary. Is there any nominations for secretary?
I'll nominate Jim if he's willing to do it again, but I think we should ask him if he's willing to.
Certainly.
I'm on board.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, Jim. Is there a second to the nomination of Jim Calciano as secretary?
I'll second it.
And that's Jay O'Leary. Okay. Are there any other nominations for secretary? Okay, is there any discussion regarding the nomination of Jim Calciano for secretary? Okay, hearing none, I will call the vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? And any abstentions? Okay. Thank you, everyone. We have our positions in place for January. So thank you very much for participating. And I think that takes care of the agenda items unless there's anything else to be discussed or shared this evening.
Sorry that we can't have everyone over here for a little after meeting party this year due to COVID, but maybe next year.
Next year.
Okay, I don't know if I'm still technically chair. If so, then thank you, everybody. Meeting adjourned. We'll see you in January.
In January.
January.
Thank you very much.
Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.